So now there was a town hall that was called Inequality of America, and it was live streamed, and it consisted of Elizabeth Warren, Senators Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders, as well as Michael Moore. Now, Michael Moore made a very important comment that I wanted to highlight because I think that it's extremely important. Now, here's what this article says. It says, liberal documentarian, which is a word I have never heard before. Liberal documentarian Michael Moore slammed heavy corporate media coverage devoted to Russia, 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 and adult film actress Stormy Daniels on Monday, calling the stories, quote, shiny keys to distract us. Says the commentary from the Bowling for Columbine and Fahrenheit 9/11. Fahrenheit 9/11, great movie, by the way. Director came during a live stream town hall event featuring Senator Bernie Sanders and Senator Elizabeth Warren in Washington on Monday night. It says, the three prominent progressives lamented the lack of national media coverage around a recent teacher strike in West Virginia that resulted in a 5% pay increase, which Moore characterized as bringing, quote, down the state's apparatus and an amazing victory for labor in a red state. So here's what he says. So he said, Bernie, I didn't see hardly anything in the corporate media about this on any of the networks. Even some of the networks that we watch were, you know, Russia. Turn the channel, Russia, 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 Russia. I'm not saying that's not important. And then he says, these are all shiny keys to distract us. We should know about the West Virginia strike. What an inspiration that would be around the country. And Bernie Sanders, in the middle of him talking, in between those two quotes, he said, and don't forget about Stormy Daniels. So the Stormy Daniels is a story, and there have been a bunch of updates on it, and they're always funny stories to me, but I am making a concerted effort not to talk about those anymore because I know a lot of you guys don't like hearing about it, and it is something that is just massively dragging on. It's going, you know, she's gained massive fame from this whole thing that's been going on. But anyways, basically what he's talking about here, about how the media is just Russia, 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 they're 100% right. Here's what should happen. There should be a ratio amount, you know, like a reasonable proportional amount of coverage that goes to Russia. And there should be, you know, the vast majority of it should be focused on progressive policy and actual things that are serious and that actually happen. So the example that they give is the West Virginia strike. That is something that's very important to cover. So the strike is a great win, you could say, for the teachers. However, something that I would like to note as well is that, you know, there should be more of those, and I think that the severity of them should increase as well as the frequency, because while they got a 5% pay increase, the funding for that's going to come from slashing Medicaid. So, and believe me, I just said believing like Trump, but believe me, the healthcare costs are more than likely to cover that 5% increase that will come up because they don't have the funding for Medicaid, so they don't have Medicaid anymore. So slashing Medicaid and then increasing a pay for 5% is not the answer, but what that means is that there needs to be further, an increase in teacher strikes, longer teacher strikes, and that's what we should be covering to put pressure on the state of West Virginia for doing this type of shit, because it's fucking disgusting that they can't even live on it. There's stories of teachers having to, get another day off because they have to work a second job at Walmart just to make ends meet. This is absolutely disgusting in 2018 in the United States of America, because this is something that shouldn't be going on at all. Teachers should be paid at least a fair amount, man. At least a fair amount. Now, also, Bernie also had some other stuff that he said. He says, there are enormous problems facing our country, and what we are talking about over and over again, Stormy Daniels. So Bernie did a very good job talking about this stuff as well. I'm glad to see that Michael Moore also understands what's going on with the corporate media. And the corporate media, here's the truth about the corporate media. It fucking sucks. Corporate media is garbage. It's shit. Nobody likes it anymore except for a very small group of people. I can't stand it. It is massively boring. And, this kind of washed up version of just kind of teleprompter reading shit is just so massively boring. And nobody likes it anymore. And it's even worse when you start diving into the things that they did. For example, in the 2016 primary, where they're saying, where in the delegate count in the election between Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders, they're counting the super delegates in Hillary's count, but they haven't even voted yet. So every time that people hear that, they go, you know what, I probably shouldn't vote for him because it's, Hillary Clinton's clearly going to win, or, it's just a throwaway vote, or whatever the fuck they would say. I remember hearing that on the radio one day when I was on my way back home from school, and that shit really fucking pissed me off. That got me really angry. And this is the type of stuff that the corporate media has epically failed on, and has just absolutely, continued the status quo in the establishment, and has not done anything for the people whatsoever. And again, is literally covering all the wrong stories.